One Piece begins with the execution of Gol D. Roger, the Pirate King. His final words spark the Great Pirate Era, as he declares his treasure, the One Piece, is out there for the taking. We then meet Luffy, a young boy with big dreams, who finds himself inside a barrel rescued by pirates. Luffy quickly makes an impression by emerging from the barrel and using his Gomu Gomu no Mi powers to defeat Alvida's men. Luffy meets Koby, a boy trapped in servitude under Captain Alvida. Koby shares his dream of joining the Marines, but he lacks the courage to stand up for himself. Alvida confronts Luffy after hearing him insult her, and Luffy easily defeats her with his Gomu Gomu no pistol, sending her flying. With Alvida out of the way, Koby is free to pursue his dream of becoming a Marine, and he and Luffy set sail together toward their next destination. Luffy and Koby arrive at a Marine base ruled by Captain Morgan. Here, we are introduced to Roronoa Zoro, a swordsman who's been captured and tied to a post in the courtyard, branded a criminal. Zoro is feared as a demon, but Luffy sees potential in him and decides to recruit him for his pirate crew. Zoro was imprisoned after standing up to Helmeppo, Captain Morgan's spoiled son, who manipulated the situation. Zoro agreed to endure a month without food or water to save a little girl and her mother. Determined to free Zoro, Luffy confronts the corrupt Marine base. Helmeppo reveals that Zoro's execution is imminent, and Luffy then marches into the base to retrieve Zoro's swords. Luffy offers Zoro a choice to join his crew or die here. Zoro, impressed by Luffy's resolve and unwilling to let his dream of becoming the world's greatest swordsman die, accepts. Luffy's attack on Morgan's base draws Morgan's ire, leading to a confrontation between the two. In a dramatic battle, Luffy uses his rubber powers to face off against Captain Morgan's powerful axe hand. Zoro, now armed with his three swords, joins the fight, demonstrating his iconic three-sword style. The duo easily defeats Morgan, and the villagers celebrate their liberation. Koby, inspired by Luffy's courage, decides to follow through on his dream and joins the Marines. However, he distances himself from Luffy to avoid complications, as the Marines see pirates as enemies. We then meet Nami, a clever thief who tricks three buggy pirates into thinking she's a stranded woman. Promising treasure, she lures them onto her boat, then sneaks aboard theirs and sails off, leaving them stranded. Luffy and Zoro continue their journey. Luffy loses his straw hat in the commotion, but Zoro is able to retrieve it. It triggers a flashback to Luffy's childhood when he met Shanks, the captain of the Red Hair Pirates. At a bar, Luffy unknowingly ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi, a devil fruit Shanks had acquired, which gave Luffy his rubber abilities but took away his ability to swim. Luffy soon crosses paths with Higema, a mountain bandit who kidnaps Luffy and throws him into the sea to drown. A Sea King appears, devouring Higema and nearly attacking Luffy. Shanks intervenes, saving Luffy but losing his left arm in the process. Before leaving for the Grand Line, Shanks entrusts Luffy with his straw hat, which becomes a symbol of Luffy's goal to become Pirate King. Back in the present, Luffy is grabbed by a giant bird and flown into Buggy's territory. Luffy eventually falls from the bird into Buggy's base, where he meets Nami. Nami, pretending to be ally with Luffy, claims she's interested in joining forces against Buggy pirates. Her true motive, however, is revealed when she tries to hand Luffy over to Buggy the Clown in exchange for her own safety. She plans to offer Buggy the map of the Grand Line, which she recently stole from him. Buggy attacks Luffy with Buggy Balls, but Nami, feeling guilty, intervenes just before Buggy can fire at Luffy again. As the situation escalates, Zoro arrives just in time to rescue Luffy. A major fight breaks out between Zoro and Buggy. At first, Zoro seems to have the upper hand, slicing Buggy cleanly across the chest. However, due to Buggy's Barabara no Mi ability, he simply splits his body apart and avoids the damage, shocking Zoro. The fight intensifies as Zoro struggles against Buggy's unpredictable attacks. Buggy detaches his hands and sends them flying, stabbing Zoro with knives. A battered Zoro then retreats and drags Luffy's cage to a local pet food shop. Zoro manages to get Luffy to safety before collapsing. The town's mayor finds Zoro and brings him to his home for treatment. Meanwhile, Luffy interacts with Choo-Choo, a faithful dog guarding the shop. Nami arrives with the key to Luffy's cage, but Choo-Choo swallows the key, keeping Luffy trapped. Buggy sends Moji the Beast Tamer, along with his lion Richie, to deal with Zoro. Richie storms the scene and Moji orders him to attack Luffy. In the chaos, Richie's powerful attacks shatter Luffy's cage, setting him free. Luffy delivers powerful blows to Richie, knocking the lion out of action. He then confronts Moji, using his agility and strength to subdue him. Back at Buggy's lair, Moji reports his defeat. In a ruthless act of revenge, Buggy launches a Buggy Ball into Orange Town, obliterating the mayor's house with Zoro still inside. Miraculously, Zoro survives the explosion. Infuriated by Buggy's merciless attack, the mayor decides to take a stand. As the battle rages on, Luffy knocks out Boodle, the mayor, to prevent him from further harming himself in the fight. Buggy fires a Buggy Ball at Luffy and his group. However, Luffy deflects the cannonball, sending it back toward Buggy's crew. The Buggy pirates are obliterated by the returned projectile, with the exception of Buggy, who hides behind his subordinates as human shields, and his chief of staff, Kabaji, who uses Richie as a shield. Kabaji and Zoro then face off in a one-on-one duel. Kabaji, known for his underhanded tactics, exploits Zoro's previous injuries and rides a unicycle to attack from various angles. Despite the dirty tricks, Zoro counters with his onigiri technique, delivering a powerful slash that cuts through Kabaji's chest. The attack sends Kabaji tumbling off his unicycle, defeated. Meanwhile, Nami seizes the opportunity to sneak into a nearby pub. She silently takes down a patrolling guard and uses his key to open a treasure chest. Inside, she finds a crucial map of the Grand Line. Back in the main battle, Luffy faces off against Buggy. Buggy uses his chop-chop fruit powers to detach his body parts, creating a defensive shield against Luffy's attacks. However, Buggy manages to damage Luffy's straw hat and stabs it with 3 knives, further provoking Luffy. The hat's deep significance is revealed to Buggy, and he expresses his deep-seated grudge against Shanks. Buggy reveals his past with Shanks, sharing their history as former apprentices on the same pirate crew. During a raid, Buggy discovered a valuable treasure map and kept it secret. He later learned from Shanks that the pirates had also acquired a devil fruit. Buggy's plan was to steal the fruit, abandon the crew, and sell both the fruit and the map. However, he ate a fake devil fruit in front of the crew while keeping the real one hidden. Just as Buggy was about to escape with his loot, Shanks caught him, causing Buggy to accidentally consume the real devil fruit. The wind blew the treasure map overboard, and Buggy, who lost his ability to swim, couldn't recover it. This mishap thwarted his plans to defect and start his own crew, forcing him to wait another decade to gather enough wealth. In the present day, Buggy spots Nami attempting to leave with his stolen treasure. He splits his body into pieces to reclaim his loot. However, Luffy intervenes, delivering a powerful strike that disables Buggy. As Buggy tries to reassemble himself, Nami ties up many of his dismembered parts with rope, reducing him to a much smaller size. Luffy finishes the battle with a Gomu Gomu no Bazooka, sending the weakened Buggy soaring out of Orange Town. Nami hands Luffy the Grand Line map while keeping the rest of Buggy's treasures for herself. She agrees to temporarily join Luffy's crew in search of riches. Mayor Boodle regains consciousness and learns that Buggy's pirates have been driven away. He thanks the crew as they prepare to leave. In a surprising turn, Luffy leaves behind the remaining treasures for the townspeople to fund repairs, much to Nami's dismay. The Straw Hats arrive at Syrup Village, where they meet Usopp, a notorious liar with dreams of becoming a pirate. Usopp leads his own pirate crew, a group of local kids. While Usopp's antics annoy the villagers, he finds a sense of purpose when real pirates, like Luffy's crew, arrive in the village. Usopp also has a bedridden friend, Kaya, a wealthy young woman grieving her parents' deaths. She is cared for by 2 butlers, Mary and Klahadore. Unknown to Kaya, Klahadore is actually Captain Kuro, the former leader of the Black Cat Pirates. Kuro faked his death years ago and has been living undercover in the village, waiting to seize Kaya's fortune and retire. Luffy and Usopp stumble upon Kuro meeting with his former first mate, Django, where they overhear Kuro's plan to kill Kaya. Django hypnotizes Luffy to sleep, causing him to fall off a cliff. Usopp, left alone, rushes to the village to warn everyone. But due to his reputation as a liar, no one believes him. Even Kaya accuses him of trying to kidnap her, and Mary chases him away with a gun. Heartbroken, Usopp lies to his crew, disbanding them to keep them out of harm's way. But the Straw Hats decide to support Usopp after Luffy reveals that Usopp's father, Yasopp, is a member of Shanks' crew. Together, they plan to stop Kuro's pirates. That night, Mary tries to warn Kaya about Klahadore, but is attacked and left for dead. Kuro smashes the glasses Kaya gave him as a gift. The next day, Usopp and the others prepare to defend the village. Luffy, with his rubber abilities, makes quick work of Kuro's lower-ranking crew members. Django then hypnotizes the pirates to make them stronger, but he also hypnotizes Luffy by mistake, causing him to become even more powerful. Luffy starts rampaging through Kuro's forces until Django is forced to hypnotize him again, knocking Luffy out. Meanwhile, Kaya learns the truth from a wounded Mary and heads out to confront Kuro herself. The Usopp pirates realize that Usopp's earlier lie about a pirate attack was actually true, and they follow Kaya to try and protect her. Zoro faces off against the Nyaban brothers, Buki and Sham, who work together to disarm him of 2 of his swords. Their synchronized attacks prove difficult to counter without all 3 of Zoro's blades, leaving him at a disadvantage. Usopp tries to assist by using his slingshot, but Zoro takes the hit himself to prevent Usopp from getting involved. Despite this, Zoro holds his ground, showcasing his endurance and fighting prowess. Kuro, growing increasingly frustrated with his crew's inability to defeat children, gives his subordinates an ultimatum: defeat the Straw Hats in 5 minutes, or he'll kill them all himself. Nami manages to kick Zoro's swords back to him, allowing him to regain his full strength. With all 3 swords, Zoro quickly turns the tide, defeating Buchi and Sham in a flurry of powerful sword strikes. Django then hypnotizes Buchi once more, turning him into an even greater threat. Nami rushes to wake Luffy as the battle is reaching its peak. Django, sensing Nami's plan, attacks her with his chakram. But just as he throws it, Nami steps on Luffy's face, waking him up in time to use his rubber body to deflect the chakram. Kaya confronts Kuro, holding him at gunpoint, but Kuro coldly dismisses her, revealing that he never cared about her or the village. Shocked, Kaya drops the gun. Usopp tries to protect her, but Kuro swiftly injures him, leaving Usopp badly wounded. In an emotional moment, Kaya's courage falters, but the Usopp pirates, led by the three young boys, attempt to fight Kuro, only for him to effortlessly brush them aside. Seeing the situation grow dire, Usopp orders his young crew to take Kaya and flee into the forest, while he and the Straw Hats continue to hold off Kuro's forces. Zoro finishes off Buchi and then carries the injured Usopp on his back to track down Kaya and protect her from further harm. Meanwhile, Luffy engages Kuro in a fierce battle. Kuro, using his deadly shakushi technique, moves so fast that he slashes indiscriminately, even injuring his own crew in the process. His disregard for his men enrages Luffy, who values loyalty above all. Luffy, driven by his anger at Kuro's betrayal of his crew and his twisted view of piracy, delivers a final blow with his Gomu Gomu no Cane. Zoro and Usopp catch up to Kaya just as Django prepares to force her to sign a will. Usopp uses his sniper skills to knock out Django with a precise shot, saving Kaya. In the aftermath, Kaya, deeply grateful, gifts the Straw Hats the Going Merry, a ship built by her butler Merry. Usopp, inspired by Luffy's crew, disbands the Usopp Pirates and joins the Straw Hat Pirates as their sniper. The Straw Hat Pirates have officially set sail on their new ship, the Going Merry. Luffy and Usopp test out the ship's cannon by firing at a distant rock. However, things take a surprising turn when the cannonball accidentally strikes two bounty hunters resting on that rock. As one of them attacks the ship, Zoro steps in to reveal that these are his old friends, Johnny and Yosaku. After some apologies and healing Yosaku's scurvy, the Straw Hats realize they'll need a cook to sustain their journey to the Grand Line. Johnny and Yosaku guide them to a floating restaurant in the middle of the ocean, the Barati. Upon arriving, trouble quickly follows in the form of Marine Lieutenant Fullbody, leading to a scuffle where Luffy accidentally fires a cannonball straight through the restaurant's roof. As Luffy works to repay the debt to the restaurant's owner, Zeph, tensions rise further when Fullbody insults the food. That's when we meet the headstrong assistant chef Sanji, who nearly takes Fullbody's life over his disrespect. Meanwhile, a starving pirate named Gin, from the infamous Don Krieg's armada, is thrown out of the restaurant after begging for food. Despite the crew's refusal, Sanji secretly serves him a meal, saving Gin from starvation. Grateful, Gin leaves the restaurant, but not without mentioning it to Don Krieg. Don Krieg soon arrives at the Barati with a plot to seize the floating restaurant as his fleet's last hope for survival. Once fed, Krieg reveals his true intentions, attacking the cooks and claiming the Barati as his new flagship. Zeph warns his cooks to brace for the inevitable battle. They soon discover that Nami has double-crossed them, taking their ship and treasure. Before they can react, a massive ship is sliced clean in half, marking the arrival of the world's greatest swordsman, Dracule Mihawk. Zoro, fueled by his ambition to become the world's strongest swordsman, challenges Mihawk in an epic duel. Mihawk, amused by Zoro's boldness, initially unsheathed only a tiny knife from his cross pendant. Despite the humiliation, Zoro attacked with everything he had, using his onigiri, which was blocked by Mihawk's small knife, showing the clear difference in their skill levels. Zoro sheathed his third sword and opted for a final decisive attack using only two swords, pouring all of his strength into his next strike. Zoro attempted his ultimate technique, Sanzen Sekai, a move meant to end the duel. However, Mihawk effortlessly overpowered Zoro. Mihawk is impressed by Zoro's courage and spares his life, encouraging him to grow stronger and challenge him again someday. With renewed resolve, Zoro vows never to lose again. Meanwhile, Mihawk departs, and Don Krieg's crew regroups to continue their assault on the Barati. As the Barati raises its protective battle fins, the Krieg pirates engage in a fierce clash with the restaurant's chefs. Despite their skill, the cooks struggle to fend off Krieg's forces until Sanji joins the fray. However, the tide of battle shifts once again with the arrival of Krieg's second mate, Ironwall Pearl. Sanji initially gains the upper hand, but the battle takes a dangerous turn when Pearl nearly burns the ship down, forcing Gin to hold Zeph at gunpoint to stop Sanji from fighting back. Sanji's resolve wavers as he remembers his childhood on the passenger ship Orbit, where he was a young cook in training. During an attack led by Zeph's pirate crew, Sanji was thrown overboard. Zeph saved his life at great personal cost, sacrificing his leg to survive alongside Sanji on a desolate island. With only one dream keeping them alive, the legendary All Blue, Zeph and Sanji survived for 80 days before being rescued. Back in the present, Gin intervenes in Sanji's battle with Pearl, saving him from a fatal blow. Gin, however, insists on fighting Sanji himself, a duel that leaves both combatants battered. Yet, when it comes time to finish Sanji, Gin cannot bring himself to do it, enraging Don Krieg. Furious with Gin's failure, Krieg unleashes a deadly poison gas grenade, the MH5, nearly killing Gin and enraging Luffy. An intense battle follows between Luffy and Don Krieg on the wreckage of Krieg's ship. Krieg unleashes every weapon in his arsenal, but Luffy counters each one with his rubber abilities. Luffy's Gomu Gomu no Bazooka then shatters Krieg's armor and sends him crashing into the Barati. In a desperate last move, Krieg entangles Luffy in an iron net, sending him into the ocean. Sanji, risking his life, dives in and rescues Luffy from drowning, while Gin and the remaining Krieg pirates depart in defeat. As the dust settles, Zeph and the other cooks try to push Sanji away, criticizing his cooking to persuade him to leave. Sanji overhears them confessing that his cooking is excellent, but the moment reminds him of his dream to find the All Blue. He finally agrees to join the Straw Hats on their journey. In a tearful farewell, the Barati cooks bid Sanji goodbye as they leave to chase after Nami. Luffy, Sanji, and Yosaku set sail for Arlong Park on a small boat. Following the events of the Barati arc, Sanji expresses skepticism about Nami's intentions, prompting Yosaku to recount how he noticed Nami's suspicious behavior when she showed interest in Arlong's wanted poster. Meanwhile, Nami arrives in the Going Merry. A young boy confronts her, seeking vengeance for the death of his father at the hands of Arlong. Nami slaps him, giving him money to leave. Zoro, Usopp, and Johnny also arrive on the island, with Usopp and Johnny tying up Zoro to prevent him from immediately engaging with the fishmen. They are soon spotted, abandoning the ship and leaving Zoro to be captured by them. They end up in Foosha Village, where they witness the devastation wrought by Arlong's crew, with houses destroyed and villagers living in fear. As they try to evade capture, Usopp is mistaken for a fishman and attacked by the same boy from earlier. A woman intervenes, revealing herself as Nojiko, Nami's foster sister. Meanwhile, Luffy, Sanji, and Yosaku continue their journey, encountering a giant sea cow attracted to their food. Luffy swiftly defeats it with a single kick, and they cleverly tie their boat to the sea cow, using it to reach the island. Usopp awakens in Nojiko's house, where she explains that Nami is part of Arlong's crew, shocking him. At Arlong Park, Zoro learns about Nami's loyalty when Arlong boasts about how she would betray even her family for riches. In a moment of desperation, Zoro jumps into the water to test her allegiance. Nami saves him, but beats him to maintain the loyalty to Arlong. Arlong then confronts Genzo, the sheriff, demanding a monthly tribute from the villagers in exchange for their lives. Usopp, witnessing this, intervenes to save Genzo, but he is chased away by Arlong's crew. Nami returns to the village, met with hostility from the villagers who view her as a traitor, except for Nojiko and Genzo, who understand her predicament. Later, the sisters visit the grave of their adoptive mother, Belle-Mère. Back at Arlong Park, Zoro breaks free, having defeated several fishmen with Nami's help, who discreetly cuts his bonds. He encounters Hatchin, who mistakenly believes Zoro is a corrupt marine. After overhearing villagers discussing Usopp's fight against the fishmen, Zoro rushes back to save him, but it's too late. Usopp is captured. Nami arrives and threatens to kill Usopp herself to convince the fishmen of her loyalty. Usopp, confused and desperate, tries to escape with a smoke bomb, but is intercepted. Nami stabs her hand instead of him, convincing Arlong of her loyalty, while Johnny looks on in horror. Finally, Luffy, Sanji, and Yosaku arrive on the island and reunite with Zoro. Nami insists they leave, claiming her partnership with them was only for treasure. However, Usopp, still alive and having only fainted from Nami's attack, reveals the truth about her actions. Nojiko joins them, recounting Nami's tragic backstory where she and Nojiko lived happily with their adoptive mother, Belle-Mère, until Arlong's arrival. Belle-Mère, a former Marine, had left her life of service to raise the two girls. One day, the peace of their lives is shattered by the arrival of Arlong and his crew. Arlong demands a tribute from the villagers. 100,000 berries per adult and 50,000 berries per child. Belle-Mère understands that they can't pay the full amount. Determined to protect her daughters, she devises a plan. She decides to hide the girls in a secret place and confront Arlong herself. She declares that she can only pay 100,000 berries, explaining that her daughters are hiding and that she would do anything to protect them. Arlong, seeing her desperation and the potential for manipulation, agrees to her terms, but only if she sacrifices her life. Nami and Nojiko watch helplessly as Belle-Mère tries to bargain for their safety. With tears in her eyes, Belle-Mère assures them she loves them and that they must live on, no matter what happens. Arlong coldly accepts Belle-Mère's offer and, without hesitation, shoots her in front of the girls. Nami and Nojiko, heartbroken and terrified, are left to grapple with the trauma of witnessing their mother's murder. Arlong takes Nami, believing her cartography skills would be useful for his crew, while Nojiko is left behind, consumed by grief and rage. This moment impacts Nami, who later made a deal with Arlong to buy back their village for 100 million berries. As tensions rise, Marine forces led by Captain Nezumi arrive on the island, accusing Nami of harboring illegal funds. Despite her attempts to protect the money meant for repurchasing the village, the Marines seize it, and Nojiko is shot while trying to defend her sister. In a furious confrontation, Nami accuses Arlong of betraying her trust, but he dismisses her claims, stating she must start over if she wants her village back. Overwhelmed with despair, Nami stabs herself in the arm where Arlong's tattoo is. However, Luffy intervenes, stopping her self-destructive act. At this pivotal moment, Nami finally asks Luffy for help. He places his straw hat on her head, signifying his support, and they prepare to confront Arlong together, rallying for the freedom of Kokoyashi village. Moments later, the Straw Hat crew arrives, and Luffy wastes no time. He breaks down the door and punches Arlong, enraged that he made Nami cry. The rest of the fishmen join the battle alongside Mamu, the sea cow. However, Luffy quickly neutralizes them by grabbing Mamu and spinning him around like a pinwheel with his rubber abilities, knocking out several enemies. In the chaos, Luffy's feet get stuck in the ground, an opportunity Arlong exploits. Uprooting the gravel, Arlong hurls Luffy into the ocean, making it a game for the Straw Hats. The crew must defeat the fishmen to save their captain. Despite his severe wounds and fever from his earlier fight with Mihawk, Zoro steps up to face Hatchin, the fishman wielding 6 swords. Hatchin's 6-sword style is overwhelming, with multiple blades coming at Zoro from different angles. Zoro eventually pushes through his pain, gradually gaining the upper hand. Hatchin swings all 6 blades in a final desperate attack, but Zoro deflects them with his own 3-sword technique, landing a decisive blow that takes Hatchin down. Sanji takes on Kurubi, the fishman karate master. The battle becomes even more dangerous when Kurubi drags Sanji underwater, where fishmen naturally hold the advantage. Sanji drives a powerful kick into Kurubi, launching him back to the surface. Once on dry land, the fight becomes one-sided. Sanji unleashes a flurry of brutal kicks, eventually shattering Kurubi's chest plate and sending him crashing into the ground, defeated. Meanwhile, Usopp faces off against Chu, initially pretending to be defeated to avoid the fight. However, when he remembers the others are fighting for Nami's sake, Usopp gains the courage to engage Chu directly. Using his wits, Usopp douses Chu in alcohol and lights him on fire before repeatedly hitting him with his hammer, ultimately knocking him out. During the chaos, Nami arrives and rallies the villagers, finally siding with her crew. As she fights, Nojiko and Genzo revive Luffy. Once freed from the rocks binding his legs thanks to Sanji, Luffy is ready for his final confrontation with Arlong. Luffy and Arlong trade heavy blows, each attack shaking the foundation of Arlong Park. As the fight intensifies, Arlong forces Luffy into the tower, where he reveals the room where Nami was forced to draw maps for him. This enrages Luffy, and he begins destroying the room. Arlong tries to stop him but is overpowered. With one final blow, Luffy smashes through the tower, sending Arlong crashing down and destroying the park. With Arlong defeated, the villagers are free. Emerging from the wreckage, Luffy declares, "Nami, you are my friend." Nami, overwhelmed with joy, agrees. The celebration is short-lived as Nezumi, a corrupt marine, arrives to steal Arlong's treasure. However, the Straw Hats quickly deal with him, sending him packing. In the aftermath, the villagers throw a grand celebration for their heroes. Luffy finds Genzo at Belmare's grave, where Genzo makes Luffy promise never to take Nami's smile away. As the crew prepares to leave, Nami rushes to the ship, revealing that she stole all the villagers' wallets on her way. As the Straw Hats relax on the Going Merry, they spot Logetown, the last stop in the East Blue and the birthplace of the Pirate King, Gol D. Roger. In Logetown, Zoro searches for new swords. He meets Tashigi, a marine officer who bears an uncanny resemblance to his childhood friend, Kuina. Tashigi helps him find 2 new swords, Sandai Katetsu and Yubashiri. Zoro tests the cursed Sandai Katetsu, throwing it in the air, and it narrowly avoids cutting him, impressing the shop owner, who allows Zoro to keep it. While Zoro shops, Sanji buys a giant fish, Usopp gathers supplies, and Nami shops for clothes. Luffy visits the execution stand where Gol D. Roger died. He's soon confronted by Alvida, now slimmer thanks to the Sube Sube no Mi, and Buggy, who shackles Luffy and prepares to execute him at the same stand. At the Marine base, Captain Smoker hears of the pirate activity but waits to act. The Straw Hats split up to rescue Luffy. Zoro and Sanji head to the execution stand, while Nami and Usopp prepare the ship for a storm that Nami senses approaching. As Buggy raises his sword to execute Luffy, Zoro and Sanji battle through his crew, but are unable to reach him in time. Luffy, smiling in the face of death, accepts his fate. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning strikes Buggy's sword, shattering it and freeing Luffy. The trio rushes back to the ship. Smoker, watching Luffy's calm demeanor, notices a striking resemblance to Gol D. Roger. Buggy, Alvida, and their crew try to escape, but are swiftly captured by Smoker. As Luffy and Sanji encounter Smoker, they are helpless against his devil fruit powers. Just then, a mysterious figure appears, saving them and allowing the crew to escape. Smoker identifies the figure as Dragon, a dangerous revolutionary. Despite the Marines' efforts, the Straw Hats escape Logtown, setting course for the Grand Line. In a symbolic gesture, each Straw Hat places a foot on a barrel and recites their dream. Luffy to become Pirate King, Zoro to be the world's greatest swordsman, Nami to draw a map of the world, Sanji to find the All Blue, and Usopp to become a brave warrior of the sea. If you enjoyed this recap, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all for watching and see you in the next one.